Hey everyone, it's the Sparkle Girl, or as Ken Sparkle, whatever you like to call me. So today, as you can notice, that I'm going to review on the TinkerBell movies. So let's start with the very first TinkerBell movie that came out in 2008. So let's just say I loved TinkerBell since as a kid while growing up. I would never stop loving Tinkerbell because she's just so magical. She is the best. And no matter who those who dislike Tinkerbell, I will never stop believing in fairies. And besides, Tinkerbell is the reason to make myself to believe in Disney and magic and all kinds. Because Disney is the best thing about your childhood, and I have to be pretty honest. I think Disney should deserve a chance instead of having too much hatred. So let's just say I've been a fan of the first Tinkerbell movie ever since it came out. You can't possibly get me wrong because I think Tinkerbell, she can be a bit selfish sometimes in the movie, but she knows very well that she can't just trying to be someone that she's not really, trying to be someone that you're really not. I just think it's a bit wrong. But what I'm trying to say, I sometimes can find it a bit selfish, but not in a in a bad way, of course. But I'm saying that sometimes I think it's like being selfish of your own self, because sometimes you just don't even realize how special you are or how talented you are or whatever. And besides, that Tinkerbell first movie actually inspiring, and it tells you a very good lesson of all times. Just be yourself. And that's the very important thing anyway, because if you remember this line when Tinkerbell said,
Why, your talent makes you who you are. You should be proud of it.
yep, you got that right. So let's just say Tinkerbell has been a bit, I don't know how to say it because since I keep saying that I can't get my head straight when trying to describe things and that. So all I'm trying to say that I just think Tinkerbell should be herself, instead of have to, yeah. Well, that's all I'm saying. So let's just say I kind of like the beginning of the movie where all the fairies gathering around and and when they had to meet the new fairy, which Terrence had brought the whatever those little flowers are called, the daffodils. That's it, daffodils. When Terrence turns a daffodil into a newborn fairy, which we all know, Tinkerbell. And that's where we met Queen Clarion. Queen Clarion is a beautiful queen of all times, to be honest. I mean, if I had to admit it. And I kind of like Fairy Mary, but Mary, whatever you prefer to call her. And let's just say I kind of not like Vidya in the first movie. She's just so mean to Tinkerbell. I mean, if I had to admit it, I sometimes Vidya do can have a good point sometimes, whatever. But all I'm saying is that even though Vidya can be a pain sometimes, but she still has a good few points about Tinkerbell being so desperate to trying to have different talents from her friends so she can go to the mainland, which is actually London. Yeah, I would say I think Vidya should have kept her mouth shut sometimes, because if I was in that movie, I would show or give Vidya some manners, something like that. Shut up, Vidya, you're so mean, something like that. And sometimes I feel like I wanted to do what TinkerBell does, which is angry, turn red. But don't get me wrong, because I know some people wish the same thing, like, oh, I'm so mad, stuff like that. Like, like you're becoming into a dragon or something, like furious fire-breathing dragon from Shrek. Ooh. Okay. So yeah, I also kind of like those two boys that we all know, Clank and Bubbles. They can be pretty annoying sometimes, but they are funny. Let's just say they can remind me with Alan and the Chipmunks. Ugh, give me a break, dudes. Yeah, definitely. But I kind of like this funny scene where, like, when Bubbles trying to ask Clank, like, where's Tinkerbell and that, and Clank got this, like, these thingy earplugs or whatever, and he can't hear Bubbles or something, like, sorry, I can't hear you, something like that. And it kind of remind me from Sesame Street with Ernie and Bert, when Bert said to Ernie, hey Ernie, do you know you have a gingerbread man in your ear? And then Ernie was like, what? What do you say, Bert? I can't hear you, I got gingerbread in my ear. Something like that. I know you're laughing here, Sophie, and I know you are laughing at this because I can tell. Says I kind of brought it up. Yeah, so that's all I'm saying about the first movie. Yeah, definitely. All I'm saying that Tinkerbell always has been the best favorite fairy Disney movie for everyone who loves Disney or fairies or something like that. There may not be um, who's not like Tinkerbell, but I think they should just give Tinkerbell a bit of a chance, And besides, I believe there's going to be a live action for Tinkerbell sometime in a couple of years later. I don't know. And if it's true, might go on and see it actually. And I also believe there's going to be a brand new Disney live action called Peter Pan and Wendy. If you're interested in seeing that, be free to do so. Because besides, it's actually based on the actual Disney Peter Pan back in the 50s. Yeah. So yeah, let's get to the next one. Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure. Oh, I can't get my eyes off that film, to be honest, especially those moments with Tinkerbell and Terence. And besides, that's the reason and the moment where most of the some of the people who seem to be quick to ship both Tinkerbell and Terence on that movie. And I don't really blame them because I kind of agree with them, I kind of like Terence and Tinkerbell together sometimes. Although I believe Tinkerbell has a crush on Peter Pan. I just think Peter Pan is having a fairy having a crush on Peter Pan. I just think it's a bit weird sometimes, in my personal opinion. But don't blame me for that though, because I know some people may do like having to ship Tinkerbell with Peter Pan, and I don't blame you guys if you do, and I don't want to offend your feelings or anything. And besides, I kind of just prefer Tinkerbell with Terence if I had to admit it. So yeah, so Tinkerbell and the Lost Treasure is actually about Tinkerbell had to go on to adventure just to save the Moonstone after this whole drama for Terence, where she blames onto Terence, which is actually her own responsibility. And besides, I think Tinkerbell is more selfish in that movie the most, if I have to be honest. I mean, she may feel like regret about it sometime during the whole film, but I still think Tinkerbell should have known better, But you can't possibly blame me for thinking something like that, but that's just my opinion, so please respect, okay? And yeah, so I just think Tinkerbell should, like, like calm down, stop getting into a tantrum, and stop blaming onto someone else when it's actually your own responsibility. And that can remind me with my own sister. She can be like that sometimes. So that's just my check-in. Okay. All I'm just saying that I think Terrence deserves a chance, and I don't think it's all Terrence's fault anyway. Some of you may think it is, but I don't think it is truly, because I think Terrence is being misunderstood by TinkerBell. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. And the way the bit when TinkerBell said to Terrence,
A true friend wouldn't ask me to break the rules.
Well, then I guess we're not true friends.
I just find that bit a bit harsh, I mean, Terrence knows that breaking the rules is not a good thing to do. Although, even though when Tinkerbell did ask for his help about that at that point, but I still kind of agree with Terrence that you should never break any of the rules because it's illegal. Yeah, although they are true friends, at least they did become friends at the very end. And I kind of like the bit, well, it's kind of a bit obvious because I found it a bit funny where Tinkerbell and Blaze end up with, the bridges, and then there's those two naughty trolls with, like, gabbing on each other and, like, saying nasty names to one another, something like that. And I can't possibly blame them for being silly, like kind of that way. But all I'm saying is that I think they should be careful what they have to say. I mean, if that ever happens between me and Sophie, I will okay, I'll stop, and she will stop as well. Okay, I forgive you. Yeah, something like that. And besides, me and Sophie would never argue. We're both best friends, and we're both like sisters to one another, and we never argue. I mean, and if we did, we just forgive each other eventually. And I know you will agree with that too, Sophie, because I know you very well. Because you are smarter than you think, and I'm smarter than anyone thinks. Well, than I think as well. So yeah, I just specifically think that those trolls just can you please stop arguing? Seriously? Okay, that's just me overreacting. Well, maybe a little bit. Okay, so all I'm saying, I kind of like the friendship between Tinkerbell and Blaze. The little, the little bug that Tinkerbell made friends during the film. And it's kind of obvious. Every time I watch that film, it always makes me feel like I want to be in that movie. Well, also makes me feel hungry. You can't possibly blame me for that either, too. So, yeah. Okay. Let's just skip to the next one. Tinkerbell and the Great Fairy Rescue. So, I have to admit it, that's the movie that really inspired me the most, actually. I might as well have said this sometimes before on the actual video with the scene of it on my YouTube channel or on my community post, because let's just say I like the bit when both Tinkerbell and the little girl called Lizzie were drawing a sketchbook, whatever it's called, the book is. I had to admit it, I just love that scene so much. And that's the whole reason why I have this sort of interest on making a book about my whole history, my family, everything, like some things from the past, some things that will happen in the future, something like that. I've always had that sort of interest, You can't possibly blame me for that. So yeah, and I also like this song called "How to Believe," and that's also kind of reminds me with the first movie about be yourself. I have to be honest with you guys. I kind of love that song very much. I never stopped listening to it, to be honest. It's just so catchy. So I believe, well, some of you guys may not know this, but I bet some of you guys from the UK will know this. Well, what I mean, like some of you, but some of you may won't. But I know some of you may will, including my own self, that I believe the actress who plays Lizzie is actually um is called Laura Moat. And I also believe she appeared in Tracy Beaker Returns, early in the one episode in series 3, the first episode. I had to admit it, when I first found out that she's the one who voiced Lizzie in that film, I was like, what? Like, OMG? Something like that. Or, for Disney. Something like that. Okay, you can't possibly blame me for that, because I was a bit surprised, when I first found out about it. And you guys know this young actress who's also a singer called Richard Mandler. Yeah, I believe she's, well, you might remember the show called Good Luck Charlie. You might remember that show sometimes before on the Disney Channel, but I believe that's really her, because I also need to mention that she's the girl who sang the song How to Believe. I can't believe it. Besides, like I said before, that's my favorite song of all times. But I also have other favorite Tinkerbell songs, and you probably have seen a playlist of all my favorite Tinkerbell movies. So yeah. Okay. And my personal opinion on Lizzie's dad, I think he's a bit mean and selfish. I don't think he's really much of a father during the whole movie to Lizzie. And you can't possibly blame me for mentioning that, because I just think he's not really nice at all towards his daughter about her believing and liking the fairies. I mean, what is wrong with fairies? I mean, seriously? And sometimes I just wanted to be like Tinkerbell, where she does like when she speaks to Lizzie's father, even though we didn't hear exactly what she was saying, but I was wondering what the hell is she saying when she was screaming at him. I always interested on what is exactly she was saying on that moment. I just hope someone can able to translate that sometimes in the future. But I don't think I would, because I'm not really good at translating, to tell the truth. So yeah. Besides, like I said, I don't really like Lizzie's dad that much in that film. I think he's just so evil. I mean, well, clearly he's not really that evil, but I think he's a bit like neutral. Like, like we don't know whether he's a bad character or a good character. But I would say he's sort of somewhere in the middle. Yeah, but at least he did. Well, at least he did went to come to his sentence at the end of the movie, and the way the fairies, even Lizzie herself, improved him wrong, that fairies aren't real. Although we never know. I don't know whether if fairies really real in real life, but even though we've never seen them. But if I've even though I did say before that I've always believed in fairies, but I think fairies could be real. Same thing with the mermaids, like Ariel, for example, from the Little Mermaid. Yeah, definitely. I've always imagined that. Imagine meeting Tinkerbell or Ariel, or maybe both at the same time. Yeah, I always feel like I want to fly in the sky. Like, I can fly, I can fly, I can fly. From Peter Pan. Yeah, definitely. And I did like that bit when Tinkerbell helped Lizzie to fly in her bedroom. And I kind of find that bit, let's just say, it may not be that funny to you guys, but I think it can be a little funny. because I kind of like this moment because I think it's kind of cute when Tinkerbell was under a hat on Lizzie's head. Yeah, I actually feel sorry for both Lizzie and Tinkerbell, but I just kind of find it a bit cute. Yeah, and I also like those moments where the other fairies on a mission to rescue Tinkerbell and all. Although it was all down to Vidya though, even though she did slam the door in that fairy house that Lizzie made from the beginning of the film. Yeah, something like that. And you can't possibly blame Vidya anyway because although she is trying to like redeem herself for her own redemption from being mean from the very first movie. And I'm actually glad that Vidya did become nicer and friendly towards Tinkerbell and the other fairies. So yeah, definitely true. So let's skip to the next part. Tinkerbell and the Secret of the Wings. So that's the moment where we all finally get to meet Tinkerbell's long lost twin sister. Well, let's just say some of you might think that they're not really twins, but clearly they are twins because they are actually born at the same time, even though they did got separated because I had to be pretty honest, I can't exactly remember that actually from the first movie because there weren't any another Daffodil in the first film. Only one, even though that's only Tinkerbell. But I did kind of find that a bit confusing sometimes. But at least we did get to meet Tinkerbell's sister, Periwinkle. Yeah, I just found that movie very adorable. Like finally reunited with your long lost member of your family. Yeah, I just find it a bit confusing, from the Secret of the Wings and the first Tinkerbell movie. So I bet you guys can't agree with me because, well, So yeah, I kind of had to admit it. I do like Periwinkle. She is my new favorite character since then. When I first watched that movie, I always loved that movie no matter what. And and I have to break this up to you guys. I think this rule about no fairy should ever cross the bridge. I just think it's like unacceptable. Although it even though it's just part of the rule and it's stopping from those who will end up hating themselves. And I can't possibly blame either Queen Clarion or Lord Mallory. So yeah, I just even though we did learn about Queen Clarion and Lord Mallory um have this sort of same situation because they fell in love with each other when they were young and still fall for each other when they both reunited and that. And I actually kind of feel happy for them for seeing each other again. But deep down, I still think this rule that actually made by those two, I just think they should think about Tinkerbell and Periwinkle sometimes because I don't think Tinkerbell and Periwinkle deserve of having to be separated. And besides, they are sisters after all, and you can't possibly blame either those girls or Lord Mallory and Queen Clarion. So yeah. It's not that I feel like disappointed, but I do feel sorry for, for either of these characters. So yeah, at least, well, as we all know, at least they all finally reunited and stayed together. And besides, Periwinkle did came back in the Pirate Fairy, which I'm going to mention anytime soon. And besides, I kind of like the song called Great Divide. Some of you may have heard of it before from that film, and some of you may not going to guess this. The song is actually sung by the McLean sisters, and you never guess that I believe one of those girls actually plays Uma from Descendants. Well, also she also plays the daughter of called well you know that the Shouter Man from Princess and the Frog. Well, she also voiced his daughter in the Descendants series, as she plays Uma in the live-action movies. I actually kind of find it confusing though, although she did get replaced by someone else to play as Freddy for the series. Sadly, the series was cancelled back from a long time ago, something like that. I wish they could have stayed, on Disney Channel, because I believe most of some of the people who seem to like Descendants. Some of you may not like it, but I think you should just give it a chance. And besides, some of you guys may weren't able to understand about Long Live Evil or something, but I don't blame you guys for it though, but I think just give it a chance or something, because I don't want Descendants to deserve any hatred or anything. And I'm sorry if I ever offend your feelings or anything, so like that. So let's skip to the next movie. Tinkerbell and the Pirate Fairy. So yeah, I kinda like that film. I have to admit it's actually based on the adventure with, this whole pirate crew. And besides, and you never guess who the villain is. And I know you will know this, Sophie, because I know you. And I bet some of you guys may go to find it a bit of a shock. Captain Hook. But he's actually look younger in that film compared to what he looks like in the Peter Pan. So I have to be pretty honest, I kind of find it a bit of a shock when finding out that he's a villain in the Tinkerbell and the Pirate Fairy film. And besides, I remember that very time when I went to see that film with my mom back in 2014. I actually kind of find that film very awesome and very, how to describe, fighting. Like, here, take that, yeah, we are, you codfish, something like that. And I bet you're laughing, Sophie, because I know you are laughing. Okay, I'm calm. And yeah, and that's where we meet a new character called Serena. Yeah, she's a good character, of course, but some of you may think she might be a bit evil, but I don't think she's that evil. I just think she's just being misunderstood, like with Vidya and whatever. But I just think Serena doesn't really deserve any of it either. Although she did kind of betray the fairies from the first movie. So let's just say I kind of find it a bit harsh that way she was siding with the pirates. And the way she just used all the pixie dust, steal it, just to give it to the pirates, even Captain Hook himself. And when Tinkerbell and her friends had to grab the pixie dust from the pirates and then Serena just started chasing after them, and then she threatening them that if they don't give her the pixie dust, she'll just give them a bit of a mercy, something like that. And I had to find it a bit okay, something like that. And then she just suddenly just throw the pixie dust at the girls, and out of a sudden, swoosh! All the other fairies got their talents switched to one another. I actually kind of find that scene awesome, actually, and I did kind of find it a bit funny. So yeah, I just kind of find that scene really, really confusing at the same time as well. Sometimes it depends really, but all I'm saying, because so Tinkerbell's got Silver Mist talent, and Rosetta's got Fawn's talent, and Iridessa's got Rosetta's talent, and whatever, I did kind of find it a bit funny when Vito ended up becoming the Tinkerbell, and she was really angry about it, and when she told Tinkerbell, take these She's off. Something like that. And I was like, calm down, will you, girl? The only Tinkerbell. Well, let's just say, and you guys might find it a bit cute and funny at the same time, which is actually kind of obvious that it is adorable when Rosetta actually meet the baby version of the crocodile. You know, the one from the actual Peter Pan who is actually obsessed from, like, you know, chasing after him and all. Well, that's him anyway, as a baby. I actually kind of find him very cute in that film, to be honest. I mean, the Paris Fairy. But in the Peter Pan version, I did kind of find it a bit scary, in my personal opinion. I mean, when I was a kid, actually, though. But I don't find him scary anymore. But it still bothers me sometimes. It's just because I remember that scene where, you know, after the mermaid scene and then out of the sudden, the crocodile was like sneakily following Captain Hook and Mrs. Smith after they kidnapped Tiger Lily. I didn't like that bit when the crocodile was like, just look at you only just for a second and then went back to follow behind Captain Hook. I didn't like that bit, like seriously, as a kid. Something like that. So yeah. And I also going to admit it that I have to say the Tinkerbell and the Parrot Fairy will always be everyone's favorite of all times. Although it's kind of basically it is. Let's just say it is obvious that it's based on the actual Peter Pan kind of stuff and that. But you guys can't able to guess that Mrs. Smith did actually appeared at the very end. Something like that. So yeah. And I bet you guys will going to like the very last movie that I'm going to mention, like, after. Tinkerbell and the Legend of the Never Beast. So basically, as we all can know, that Fawn is actually the main character in that movie, aside from Tinkerbell. While Tinkerbell is still the main character that everyone loves and that, but Fawn is actually the main character only for that movie, of course. So I had to admit it, I kind of like Fawn's new appearance, you know, like her hairstyle and all. Some of you guys may not like her new hair and that, but I kind of like it, so let's just respect that, okay? And let's just say I kind of find Fawn funny in the new movie. Well, the last movie. So, and that's where we all meet the Never Beast called Gruff. Yeah, I kind of like him actually, and some of you may find him a bit scary or something. Well, I can't possibly blame those who thinks he is scary, but I kind of find him. Aww, he's so cute. He's so adorable. Almost reminded me of my own dogs. Although they're not giant like Gruff. But let's just say I do have to admit it, he is adorable anyway. And he nearly almost reminded me you know, the Toothless, the dragon from the same DreamWorks film called How to Train Your Dragon movies and all kinds. Yeah, he kind of reminds me of him. And besides, I kind of like this very last film. Sadly, it is a sad film as well, actually, as is the very last movie. And I know you guys may find it a bit disappointed that there are no more Tinkerbell movies, and I actually can't blame these guys for that either. I actually kind of agree with you guys, really, because I think Tinkerbell deserves to have more movies. I mean, having only 6 movies? Jeez, Disney. Okay. I currently have to admit it, I did cry actually when I watched that film for the first time. When I first saw it with my dad in the cinemas back in 2016 or 15 or something. let's just say the only reason why I've cried was because I thought Tinkerbell was going to get killed off. I mean, seriously, I literally did thought she's going to get killed. But luckily, she didn't. She survived. But, well, you know me. I'm more like sort of emotional person in real life. I've seen, aside from being on YouTube and something like that. You can't possibly blame me for that though. And I also remember that very moment when me and my dad left the cinema and then my dad was like ringing my mum, and then I ended up speaking to my mum on the phone, and then I just ended up crying it again and telling her about it. And you can't possibly blame me for that either. Besides, like I said, I am quite like an emotional person. And speaking of that, I don't normally actually feel all emotional when speaking about something that makes you feel sad or something like that. And you can't possibly blame yourselves or that, or even myself, something about that. And I know everyone will know that there will be no more TinkerBell movies. It's all because this is something to do with money or something like that, with the Disney Fairies company and all. And so yeah, I just kind of like that movie, to be honest. So I hope you guys actually like this video. So before I could possibly go, I'm going to talk about some things that I've already know or learned from TinkerBell. And some of you guys may be able to remember, or well, it's okay if you don't. So I remember this Nintendo game based on the first TinkerBell movie. I have to admit it's actually an awesome game. I haven't played it for years now. Let's just say I did used to play Nintendo games as a kid, especially the Xbox and Nintendo Wii. Sadly, I don't go on them anymore. Let's just say, well, I've got a PlayStation now, but sadly, I wish I couldn't have my Nintendo Wii back again. Sadly, it's something to do with this whole connection to make the remote work and that. It was broken, so let's just say I will get it to fix sometime in the future, but I just don't know when. Maybe not, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. So anyway, and I also remember like these few trailers actually based on the actual first Tinkerbell movie. Well, based off that, it's not really clearly based on the actual Tinkerbell film that we all watch and know. It's actually was supposed to be something a bit different compared to the actual Tinkerbell film. And it's actually called Tinkerbell and the Ring of Belief. So basically, that's just quite a bit an opposite to compare from the actual Tinkerbell movie that we all know and love. Let's just say I just kind of find it a bit of disappointment sometimes. I mean, they could have had that into an actual movie as well. I mean, if they could have kept that this whole project and that, and then just turn it into a movie or something. I just hope they would one day in the future, but I don't know. And besides, it was originally going to be the actual first Tinkerbell movie, something like that. But I'm actually happy with the one that we all known and loved. But I still would like to see the actual Tinkerbell and the Ring of Belief thingy, because I've seen the trailer of it sometimes before. If you're interested in watching these type of trailers, be free to do so on YouTube or maybe on my own channel, because I have these trailers on my channel. So be free to do so. So if you have any sort of questions about anything you'd like to know about Tinkerbell or whatsoever, just be free to say them in the comments. And if you've got like sort of ideas of what kind of review video I should do next in the future, please let me know in the comments too. And so if you're new to my channel, be free to subscribe, give a bit of a like, and then press the notification bell to receive my video every day. And I hope you enjoy my video and my whole review. And like I said, if you're interested, be free to say so in the comments if you have any sort of questions about TinkerBell or maybe Peter Pan. So I also need to mention before I possibly go that I'm not really much a fan of Peter Pan in my own personal opinion. So I hope I didn't upset anyone, okay? So all I'm saying is that I'm more into TinkerBell most of the time growing up and that. So I still like Peter Pan sometimes. Well, mainly the second film, the Peter Pan Return to Neverland, with Jane and that. So yeah, I just kind of prefer TinkerBell better, personally. So anyway, like I said, be free to subscribe, give it a like, and I hope you guys enjoy my review. I'll catch you guys very later. Bye.